So the topic for today is profitability versus sustainability. Mission impossible for luxury companies, yes or no? So just a few ground rules before I introduce our speaker for today. So for better audio purposes, we have put everyone on mute throughout the session. So if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to type in your questions in the chat box. You can also use reaction buttons to give our speaker support as well. So, if you don't know where it is, under reactions, you can just click on it and do a thumbs up, or you can do a heart shape, just to support our speakers along the way. Of course, if you have questions, you can also use these to raise your hands as well. All right. So can we test that out? Give a thumbs up for our speakers. Yes, thanks, William, for a thumbs up. Yeah, I can see all the reactions, which is great, from everyone. I really like if we can all participate with this during this masterclass, so there will be more fun for me and Isabel as well. All right. So our first speaker is Miss Isabel Shabu, who is the Program Director for the MSc Fashion Design and Luxury Management and full professor in the Finance, Accounting and Law Department of Renault Eco Management. So in short, we call this GEM or GEMSIM. She also lectures in International Financial Accounting, Financial Communication, Financial Reporting Analysis, and also in Luxury Sectoral Analysis as well. So before becoming a full professor with Renault, Isabel has worked for PwC in Lyon for 7.5 years, where she was the financial audit manager. She was also part of the European Internal Audit team of PwC and has worked in this role in Madrid and Lisbon. So without further ado, let's welcome Miss Isabel. Isabel, over to you.
Thank you very much, Chia, for this introduction. Good evening or good afternoon to everyone. And I'm very happy to be there. So as Chia said, the topic for today is to know whether companies can be profitable and while managing sustainability, yes or no. That will be the big question. So indeed, I'm Program Director for the MSc Fashion Design Luxury Management at GEM and full professor in the Accounting Finance Department. You can reach me out through LinkedIn or Instagram. I will be very happy to connect with you or to have more followers. So the agenda for today is first to talk about the context, give you some indicators, and then to say, okay, it's good to make declaration, but it's not sufficient. Let's take actions. And for that, I will illustrate some initiatives that have been implemented by some key players, namely Kering, Hermès, and LVMH. Of course, there are plenty more, but we have a limited amount of time. So I have chosen three key players, and I will give you also some examples of their sustainability strategy. Okay, so as a starting point, we can ask ourselves in our, I would say, a global environment, that is the demand for a better environment necessarily in conflict with continuing economic growth? So in other words, can we still grow economically without impairing the environment? Can luxury companies increase their revenues and profitability without compromising the future of our planet? And to quote John Elkington, who were the first one to talk about the triple bottom line: can people, planet, and profit coexist? So if we look at some key indicators, we can realize that the sustainability is becoming a growing source of concern for customers in the luxury industry and for millennials in particular. So according to Lux Digital, 81% of millennials expect from the brand they buy to actively communicate concerning their sustainable impact. And 73% are willing to pay more for a sustainable or socially committed brands, which is a key element. Besides, 43% of Gen Z fashion consumers actively search for companies to have an inclusive sustainability theme. So that's for young customer. And as you probably know, Gen Z and millennials are going to represent more than 50% of the total customer base of luxury companies within 2050. But many older consumers are already leaning the same way. So it's not just for younger customers. So there's a real need to make changes, okay? And all key players have created sustainability committees, for example. They are developing initiatives, in particular throughout their supply chain, where most impactful results can be seen. So they are putting in place measures to create positive impact on the environment and society. They have all implemented a sustainability strategy. So let's deep dive in some example. Let's look at some examples at Kering, Hermès, and LVMH, as I said in introduction. First, let's talk about Kering. So Kering, to make sure everyone is on the same page, is a global luxury group of renowned houses in fashion, leather goods, and jewelry. It was founded in 1963, but at the time it was a conglomerate with different activities, not just fashion, not just luxury. As of the end of 2021, end of December, the level of revenues reached 17.4 billion euros, with almost 43,000 employees at worldwide level. So effectively, when it started, it was not a pure player on luxury. But in 1999, when it acquired a 42% stake in Gucci, the brand Gucci, it progressively refocused on luxury. And since 2018, Kering has been what I call a pure player in luxury. To name a few brands that belong to Kering, we can cite Alexander McQueen, Balenciaga, Bottega Veneta, Gucci, Saint Laurent, Brioni, Boucheron, Pomellato, and Kering Eyewear. But there are even more. According to their universal registration, Kering is pursuing its ambition to be the world's most influential luxury group in terms of creativity, sustainability, and long-term economic performance. So it's really part of their motto. It's something extremely important. By the way, I just wanted to mention that all of the information that I will provide you today are coming from official sources from the companies, so and extracted from their universal registration document. So if at some point you want to go further, I will encourage you to go to the website of the company and look for the 2021 Kering Universal Registration Document, or Hermès Universal Registration Document, or LVMH Universal Registration Documents. And photos are mine. So if we take a look at key dates, at Kering, sustainability is a long-standing commitment. It started in 1996 with the first group's ethics charter. In 2006, they defined the group's CSR commitment. And in 2011, they published the very first environmental profit and loss, what we call ePNL, environmental PNL. I really want to insist on that because this is a very, very interesting tool. And Kering was the one that launched this tool. So the idea behind this was to try to monetize the impact on the environment and to monitor this impact. In other words, to try to quantify, to give a value, okay? How much does it cost? And then where can we make some improvements, some savings? And I really insist because it's a very, very interesting tool that is now open sources. So other companies can use it. You can be inspired by it. Even if you have a small business, it explains the methodology, for example, what you can do, how we can measure it. And then it will be a good way to measure the improvement or the savings you have done. So in 2015, they published the results of their group EP&L and shared the methodology for the first time. So in open source, as I said, and if you go to the website, you can see the methodology, different elements they mentioned to help you put that in place if you wish to. Among other key dates, I will cite 2019, when they created the Fashion Pact, and 250 global fashion brands joined this Fashion Pact, being all committed to take actions to halt climate change, to restore biodiversity, and protect the ocean. And since 2021, Kering is rolling out an ambitious 2025 sustainability strategy. So looking at this 2025 sustainability strategy, Kering decided to focus on 3 pillars. First one is care for the planet. Second one, collaborate with people. Third one, create new business models. So when we say care for the planet, it encompasses climate change, natural resources. To illustrate more, I can give you an example in terms of natural resources. Kering uses cashmere, okay, cashmere wool, and I'm not sure you're familiar with that, but cashmere is a source of lots of, it has a very negative impact on the environment for different reasons. First, because cashmere goats are eating the grass very, very, very deep in the soil, and it creates desertification. So as the demand for cashmere is increasing, there are more and more goats, and they eat all the grass, and it's a real problem for the biodiversity, for the soil. So that's one of the first problems. Another one is that because of global warming, the hair of the cashmere goats are not so soft, and you need to have more goats in order to provide the same quantity and even increasing quantity of cashmere. So it's becoming very difficult for goat herders to, I would say, stay alive, to live in good conditions, because they need to have more goats, but because they have more goats, they bite each other, they destroy the soil. And all of that contributes to having a very negative impact on our planet, on the people as well, and their conditions of living. So for example, Kering has a project with some goat herders in the Gobi Desert, and they provide financial help to help the goat herders, like, to take care of their livestock. They also are making different choices to try to protect the soil, and having the goats move, not to destroy completely one specific region. So that's just an example to illustrate that. They also have a program for cotton growers, and they are doing a lot in order to preserve the biodiversity, the resources, avoid having too much use of water, for example. In terms of collaborative with people, it encompasses all stakeholders, so employees, suppliers, clients, community, partnership. So they help and they support women in their fight for women's abuse, for example. They are also training, of course, all of their employees. They are offering lots of also partnerships possible between schools, with also different stakeholders. And as far as creative new business models are concerned, they are really very much into the circular economy, launching disruptive innovation. So in many different fields, they have a material innovation lab in Milan, for example, and they work on innovation in different materials. They reuse, of course, materials within different maisons, also using a purchasing platform. So Kering's also prepared what they call a materiality matrix, covering 28 topics with high overall importance, broken down into 4 categories. So here we have the triple bottom line, as we said in introduction, people, planet, profit, but they added governance. This is an example. So if you have a phone, maybe a smartphone, you may want to try to zoom on it, or maybe on your screen, just to show you this sustainability matrix, where you have the 4 category: people, planet, governance, and profit. And they have identified the challenge, which are core challenges, major challenges, and crucial challenges. So as you can see, you have from high to very high importance for Kering. And on the other side, you have the stakeholders' expectations, also from high to very high. So in the deepest green-blue color, okay, the darkest green-blue color, you have, I would say, the top priorities, which relate to climate change, biodiversity, inclusion and diversity, respect of human rights, and fundamental freedoms in the supply chain. So they identify where are the top priorities, and all initiatives are going to be led in order to tackle those issues, those risks. Going back to the EP&L, I wanted to illustrate a little bit, maybe to make it clear for some of you. So Kering, as I said, had been a pioneer, I would say, in trying to structure, to formalize the impact on the environment. So in the EP&L, they have chosen to focus on 6 elements: air pollution, greenhouse gas emissions, land use, waste production, water consumption, and water pollution. Okay, so those are the 6 key areas they have identified. And then they have gone through the whole value chain, okay, and they try to identify where each of these 6 elements have, or more, I would say, impacted, where they spend a lot, where there's more wastage, and where they should focus on. So as a result of all of their analysis conducted over a certain period of time and on all of their different activities within the maison, they identify that the main impact relates to greenhouse gas emission and land use. Okay, the 2 of them are really the most impactful, and most of the negative impact on the environment comes from raw materials production. So 57% of the impact is really on this part of the supply chain. So this is where they are trying to focus. If you're interested in seeing in detail the EP&L, environmental P&L, you can go to their websites. You can just type environmental P&L or EP&L, and you will see their methodology, all the explanations, and also the results of 2021. And the objective of Kering is to manage to reduce the impact by 40%. Now let's talk about another player, Hermès. So Hermès is a family-run business. It was created in 1837. As of the end of 2021, they reached 8.9 billion euros in revenue, almost 9 billion, with more than 17,000 employees at worldwide level. Hermès is characterized by its French savoir-faire, the craftsmanship, and excellence at worldwide level. it's what we call a heritage brand, okay, striving to ensure the transmission of skills and sustainability. So at Hermès, sustainability is not a new concept. It was even here, I would say, before it was at Kering, because if you remember a famous quote from one of the presidents of Hermès, Robert Dumas, who was president of Hermès between 1951 and 1978, he said that for him, luxury or luxury product is one that can be repaired. This quote is very famous and is still used, and Hermès still repair lots of their sold products when needed, of course, if needed. So looking at their CSR strategy, they have a very strong focus on human values within Hermès. The craftsman people, the artisan, okay, the strengths of the company is really based on those artisans, and they are artisans of the sustainable development. Hermès CSR strategy makes a tangible contribution to most of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Here, I'm not detailing, okay, making a list of all those Sustainable Development Goals. I guess many of you know them already or have heard some of them. If not, you can also check on the internet to see the difference. So you have sustainable goals related to natural resources, so energy, water use, also use of chemicals. You have everything that relates to people, so decent conditions of life, decent pay, etc., etc. Okay, so Hermès tries to tackle the different issues and to provide solutions, not to all of them. It's never possible to, of course, to tackle all of those issues at the same time, but at least, once again, to focus on the most important one. And one of the measures they use is responsible and sustainable real estate standard. So for example, at Hermès, as I said, everything is based on artisans, craftsmanship. So they open what we call workshops in which people are making some types of bags, of wallets, etc. And they are being trained for that. It takes a long, long time. The training process is really, really important. But those workshops, they want to keep them at a human size. So not exceeding 250, 300 people. So people know each other, they can help each other. And the buildings are also sustainably built. So in terms of solar panel, for example, system to reuse water, everything is really in order to, has been conceived in order to save energy and to reuse water, as I said, for example. Their strategy is organized around 6 operational pillars. Savoir-faire, which is for them really the most important, men and women, human values, as I mentioned, materials, the sourcings of materials with excellent quality, environment, suppliers, and commitment to region. So let's have a look at those 6 pillars. I'm going to try to give you some examples. First, the savoir-faire. So I mentioned that trainings is at the center of the transmission of the savoir-faire of artisans of craftsmanship. For example, almost 7,000 leather craft people were trained in 10 years. Hermès has created an apprentice training center for leather goods. So it's something quite unique in France. Now it is even recognized by a state diploma. So people who are working at Hermès, let's say in sales or in support functions, if one day they'd like to change, to move, and they have some maybe skills for that. Of course, they will be tested, etc. They can decide to follow this education program, apprenticeship program, and at the end, they may get a state diploma. Or people who are unemployed, people who want to change their type of work coming from another company. So it's a very, very specific and interesting initiative. Men and women at Hermès, so human values are really at the core of the enterprise business model. Among all the employees, 60% of women. Among all the collaborators, 60% of women are managers, 60% of managers are women. And Hermès is always ranked among the top employers. So it was ranked first on diversity and inclusion in Europe in the Financial Times, 7th best employer in France, according to Glassdoor. Those are just few examples. I would not provide you with a long list of everything any of those 3 companies do, but of course there are many more examples. As far as materials, the 3rd pillar is concerned, Hermès is always sourcing the top quality in terms of materials. Some people consider that leather is not sustainable. You probably know that about 50% of the sales at Hermès are based on leather goods sales. But for Hermès, 95% of highs are byproducts of the food industry. So they don't consider it's just for to make bag, etc. It says like, okay, cows are used for their meat, but what is not used for meat would be the hide. So Hermès is using the hide. At the same time, they recycle textile materials. So for example, in 21 tons of textile were recycled. And since 2010, they developed an activity called Petit H, small h, if you wish, in which they use scraps, so pieces could be pieces of leather unused. It could be an object that has been slightly scratched. For example, let's say a silver spoon, a big spoon that was used to serve the soup has been slightly scratched. They can cut part of it, just keep the round part, make a hole, and then use it as a necklace. So they give a new life and to objects, and they are unique objects used from different, as I say, so scrap pieces or any items that has been found and is not used for its first purpose. Going back to repairs, I mentioned that, as Jean-Louis Dumas said, in 21, they repaired 161,000 products. So they're not repairing because the products are of poor quality, okay? Don't get me wrong. Some of you may have heard about their iconic bags, such as the Kering bag or the Birkin bag. Some people bought a Kering bag 80 years ago, okay? And then they used it for many years, then they, not 80 years, less than 8 years, because it's not that old, but let's say 20 years ago, someone bought a Kering bag, then used it for 15 years, then gave it to her daughter, and then maybe the daughter gave it to her own daughter. So you can pass it from generation to generation. At some point, you may want it to be nicely polished to make sure, so you can bring it to Hermès and they will just make the necessary repair work, if any, or maybe it could be a touch of paint on the leather to make it looks like it's a new one. Okay, so they are really taking care of the different objects, and you can bring them to their repair workshop. In terms of environment, 87% of the energy used in Hermès is green energy. So I mentioned solar panel, but they have different systems in place. In terms of suppliers, they also have long standing partnership with most of their suppliers. In average, they collaborate for 20 years with their major partners. And last but not least, the commitment to region. So at Hermès, they consider that one direct job created in a rural area will lead to at least 1.5 other jobs. So I mentioned earlier the workshops. When they open new workshops, they usually decide to set up those workshops in rural area where the level of unemployment was high, maybe schools were closed because families have left this rural area. By creating a workshop there, they are hiring people, they are bringing life to the community. Thanks to the money people are making, they are establishing, they are maybe building or buying houses, new schools are reopening, etc. So this is why it has such a strong impact on a region. They bring to the community. Now, let's look at LVMH, another key players. LVMH is the worldwide leader in luxury industry. So in terms of revenue, it's bigger than Kering, Hermès. But if we talk about other players like Richemont, Moncler, L'Oréal, etc., LVMH is the biggest in the world, with 64 billion euros revenue in 2021 and more than 175,000 employees at worldwide level. LVMH is divided into 5 main business groups: leather goods and fashion, wines and spirits, perfumes and cosmetics, watches and jewelry, and selective distribution. In total, they have 75 maisons. Okay, 75 maisons. So with many famous brands such as Louis Vuitton, Christian Dior, Moet Hennessy, Veuve Clicquot, Fendi, Celine, and many more. So out of all the 75 maisons, 31 are over 100 years old. The most recent acquisition being Tiffany. They have more than 5,000 stores at worldwide level, and they operate in 80 countries. So it's a huge, huge group. So very different from Hermès, which is more or less mono-brand. I would say LVMH has 75 maisons with almost 75 brands. In 2001, they signed the first group's chairman environmental charter. Okay, it's called the LIFE program, LVMH initiatives for the environment program, which was focusing on 5 key aspects: striving for high environmental performance, encouraging collective commitments, managing environmental risks, and designing products that include innovation and environmental creativity. In 2011, they launched it. Okay, it was incorporating environmental concerns into brand strategy. And since 2014, the Maison have all incorporated the LIFE program into their strategic plans. So I mentioned that 75 maisons belong to LVMH. This means that the strategy, okay, is implemented in each of those maisons. And of course, the level of maturity can be very different. Some have started, I would say, many, many years ago. Some have also joined the group more recently and are working on some specific aspects. So I'm not going to enumerate all the maison, all the initiatives. It would be too long, but it's for you to understand that, of course, it will be different whether it's in the wine and spirit activity or in the perfume and cosmetics or the fashion and leather goods. But generally speaking, they try to focus on 9 key aspects of the environmental performance, which relate to environmental design, if applicable. So it could be the packaging of a bottle, or it could be, some of you may have seen Ruina, one of the champagne houses. They have developed a packaging which looks like more like a glove to protect the bottle, and which is very light and made with very sustainable environmental materials. Okay, instead of having a heavy wood box, for example. So this is an example to illustrate this. But as I said, it will affect lots of different activities in different ways. Securing access to strategic raw materials and supply chain. Scarcity of raw materials is an issue for all the luxury players. So they have to secure the access. Sometimes they buy some suppliers. This will lead to what we call vertical integration, and they make sure they take care of those, whether it's a tannery, whether it's it could be a crocodile farm, etc. Traceability and compliance of materials, so to make sure from the beginning of the value chain up to the end, they can trace the materials, and compliance in terms of quality. Suppliers' environmental and social responsibility by carrying regular audits at their suppliers. Preserving critical expertise. As for Hermès, it's transmission of savoir-faire. Reducing greenhouse emissions, so making the choice to limit the use of planes, of cars, so but instead maybe using boats, so shipping products to try to reduce gas emissions. Environmental excellence in manufacturing processes. Extended product lifespan and repairability, something quite similar to what we discussed at Hermès, and integrated stakeholders, so keeping customers and key stakeholders informed. So in October 21, LVMH unveiled its New Life 360 program roadmap with 4 strategic action plans: creative circularity, biodiversity, climate, transparency, and traceability. Creative circularity includes sustainable design, we already mentioned that, repair, reuse, upcycling, and research into new materials. I can illustrate this with a platform they launched called Nona platform, in which the different maisons can put all the unused fabrics, leather, and other maisons can buy it in this platform, but it's also open to young designers, and they can buy those high quality fabrics, leather, at a discounted price, between 40 to 70% compared to a regular price. In terms of biodiversity, they make zero sourcing in areas at very high risk of deforestation or desertification. All strategic supply chain are subject to the most rigorous standards by 2026. So progressively they implement audits, checks, etc. They also launched a generative agriculture plan to restore 5 million hectares of flora and fauna habitat between now and 2030. I can also give you an example with Guerlain. You may have seen at the beginning of this presentation, there is the bee bottle, the famous bee bottle. So Guerlain has launched a program to protect bees. Okay, this was an endangered species, so they are working on that. to preserve the biodiversity. So they have invested heavily in the protection of bees, and bees are becoming the emblem of Guerlain, have become. This is the white gloves I was talking about for the Rina champagne, so which is very light and sustainable material. In terms of climate, they try to use renewable or low carbon energy in all production sites and stores. So they use LED lamp, okay. And 10 days ago in France, the group also announced they are going to stop lighting some stores at some specific hours, or to start lighting at night later to try to save energy. An action plan has also been dedicated to green e-commerce, because e-commerce is a very polluting distribution channel. So you have what we call the last mile delivery. So they are working on that, trying to use either some electric vehicles, some bikes, some different systems to try to avoid pollution on the delivery of products. They are going to increase the share of maritime transport for freight. I mentioned that already. For example, for cognac, for wines, which are very heavy, because you have, of course, the spirits and the bottle, often in glass, so it's very heavy. So instead of send it by plane, they are going to use more maritime transport. And of course, a supplier carbon footprint plan. Last aspects relate to traceability and transparency. So LVMH has launched the Aura platform, so where they use blockchain, and this is open to other luxury houses as well, not just for LVMH Group. So there are people at Cartier, for example, from Richemont Group, using this platform, and for other brands. And blockchain can be used by different to try to trace some products, some items, and which is also a good way to fight against counterfeit. So blockchain use, for example, at Hublot, a watch brand belonging to LVMH, that allow the traceability. So if you buy a Hublot brand, it will be really clearly identified, protected, and then if you sell it, we can still follow, and it can also help, as I said, fighting against counterfeiting. So those are some examples. This is just an introduction. If you want to know more, of course, I encourage you to go to the website of the company, to look at their universal registration document, to look at their sustainability report, because they all publish a sustainability report. And you can see many more examples by house if you're interested in different activities, for example. But I would like to conclude here saying that declarations were a first step, but it's not sufficient. Now it's really time for change. So those key players have implemented initiatives. It's not always perfect. It's not always optimum. The maturity may be different according to the brands, but they have already starting the process. They have identified the risk. They are working on it. Now it's important to monetize, to monitor, to see and to measure how you can make efforts, savings to protect the environment and people. And according to Bain & Co. Luxco 2030, a vision of sustainable luxury, 6 strategic evolutions are needed. First, it's necessary for brands to redefine their purpose. And this is what the new customers are looking for. Important to try to achieve decoupled growth from volumes. The only growth trend cannot be based on only growth of volumes. Maybe there are also other possibilities, But even if you grow some volume, you can find a way to do it more sustainable maybe than what it used to be. New customers want more transparency and traceability in the supply chain. This is really a request from them. They are also looking for brands maximizing their environmental and social commitment, whether giving back to society, protecting the biodiversity, fighting against climate change, and creating value from sustainability using new business models. As you probably know, many new business models are emerging and taking off: recycling, reusing, upgrading, renting. You do not necessarily now to buy a product, you can rent. You can rent a bag for a party, for an event. You can rent a watch. You can rent a necklace. And secondhand is booming. The secondhand market is really booming, expected to reach $40 billion within the next 4 years. And last but not least, I'd like to cite Kofi Annan from the United Nations. And he was a visionary when he said that, contrary to popular belief, we do not face a choice between economy and ecology. It is often said that protecting the environment would constrain or even undermine economic growth. In fact, the opposite is true. Unless we protect resources and the Earth's natural capital, we shall not be able to sustain economic growth. So I thank you. And if you have questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
Yes, thank you so much, Isabel. That was very insightful for me. So I'm so happy to learn that such a big fashion company or big fashion companies like Kering and LVMH also spend so much effort and resources in sustainability when actually many fast fashion brands have not. So spending money on sustainability is really a long-term investment for a better environment for everyone. So really great to see, the big fashion houses doing this as well. So we will take questions here. So if you have any questions for Isabel, you can actually type these questions in our chat now. So I just want to remind everyone that, if we don't ask questions, we don't participate, we will not learn. So this is a great time to find out more about what Isabel does.
Don't be shy. There are no stupid questions. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So
if you have
I have some questions. I just want to
yes,
hear
please.
your thoughts as well, while sitting to your sharing. I just want to hear your thoughts about fast fashion and sustainability because, based on the research that I have done before this, there are, the wastage is also from fast fashion, right? What
exactly
do about this?
There are some numbers that you may have read. We say like 40 million tons of clothes are sent to landfills and not are full wastage. Effectively, one of the problem with fast fashion is the overproduction. So they produce a lot, and expecting to sell lots of newness. Every week there's newness and people buy. So luxury are trying to be more and more in less production, okay? And they are more into what we call production on demand rather than production for stock. Okay, so today, fast fashion, they produce, and they just expect people are going to sell. In luxury, they try to forecast better the demand, if possible, based on data analytics, on many different tools, and they try to limit the production. That's the first thing, and I think it's really important because overproduction leads to wastage too. So that's the first aspect. then maybe to have less collections. So some houses still have 6 to 8 collections per year, but some are willing to reduce. For example, Gucci, Armani, Saint Laurent, etc. They say they want to release less collection and to have maybe more timeless pieces. Okay, so fast fashion is more fashion trends that change all the time. Maybe luxury, there are more, some at least part of their collections are more timeless. So those are really 3 important aspects, I think.
I see. Thanks for sharing. We have more questions, actually.
Yes.
So if these luxury brands are moving towards a sustainable movement, how would they work on still maximizing the profit? Because we are all, I mean, we are not known for profit, right? How would they maximize profit? How would consumers know that the quality of these goods won't be compromised? Or what Koreans like to say, is it worth it?
Yeah. So I think there could be some. There's some important aspect is that moving towards sustainability doesn't mean reduce the quality. Not at all. Be careful, okay? So it will not compromise the quality. For example, I was mentioning the case of cashmere. Cashmere quality today, you can buy a cashmere sweater at, I don't know, Uniqlo, Zara, whatever, at, I don't know, 65 euros or something. And you can buy a sweater, a cashmere sweater at Loro Piana for 4,000, 5,000 euros, okay? And it's not the same quality. So if you have a high quality cashmere, why do they have high quality cashmere at Loro Piana? It's because LVMH also is making lots of efforts into sourcing the best quality. They can pay more money to have the best quality. They have the financial resources to help the goat herders, which will keep a smaller livestock. So this the goats will not bite each other, which is damaging the skin and of course damaging their hair, etc. So by really investing in sustainability, they will improve the quality, but don't be naive. Luxury house, they're going to increase the selling price. Some of you may have witnessed during COVID, Chanel increased the price of their most iconic bag. Louis Vuitton did the same. Okay, so maybe they will reduce the quantity, some products, okay, maybe less volumes for some products, but they will probably raise the price at the same time.
Yeah, I saw that. I think the Chanel bag was from 8K to 12K now, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and so don't be honestly, I wouldn't be worried about the quality, because this is a top priority for all luxury houses. I mentioned that Hermès is repairing, so does LVMH, but repairing means extending the lifespan. It doesn't mean it's for quality. It's as I said, if you buy a Kelly bag and let's say your grandmother bought a Kelly bag, she gave it to your mother and then you have it. Okay, maybe you will pass it to your own daughter or stepdaughter. So it's just to extend the life span. And in fact, this is called the life cycle, okay, of a product. If you extend the life cycle of the life of a product, you are more sustainable. Okay.
I see. So Sean also asked, are you seeing new fashion brands from up and coming designers embrace sustainability earlier, or rather, or are they still late adopters in this area?
No, there are new fashion brands and coming designers who are embracing sustainability. For example, in Germany, there are some brands that reopen workshop also in rural area with traditional way of producing shirts with very high quality cotton, linen, etc. So they produce few items, so it's going to be more expensive for the customer, but at the same time, maybe a shirt you're going to keep for many years. So it's not something fashionable, I insist. It's more something that it is timeless, very classic shirts, good cut, good fabric, good cut, good fabric, so you can keep. So that happens in Germany. In Norway, in Sweden, also there are independent brands that are now really focusing on few models, because also one of maybe the key success factors would be, instead of offering thousands of references, you have 2 or 3 shirts, 2 or 3 pair of trousers, 2 or 3 colors of shirts, and then it can be a really good quality, long lasting, but timeless products. Okay, here we are not in fashion, we are more like in, I would say, more classical design, top quality.
Yeah, I agree that I think my pieces in my closets change over time as well. So thanks for the questions. Because of time, there are still a couple of questions left. We can see if we have time to answer that later on. We can actually start with the program briefing, because we do have Isabel here, and what she will actually be doing is to share a briefing or quick briefing on the MSc in Fashion Design and Luxury Management program. So this would be for all of you to find out, more about what the modules like, what you can gain out of it when it comes to taking up this master's as well. So over to you, Ms. Isabel.
Okay, thank you. So effectively, indeed, I know that some of you wanted to get information about the MSc FDLM program in collaboration between SIM and GEM that we are going to open. Sorry, to change. Okay, that says it. Okay, we are hoping to open in September 2023. So it's a postgraduate program, MSc Fashion Design Luxury Management. We call it MSc FDLM. And I am the program director. So just to give you a few key figures about GEM, we have about 600 teaching staff today, 3,300 international students, over 50 programs. We have 35,000 alumni worldwide, and people coming from 130 different nationalities. We are ranked 8th in France in terms of French Business School 2022, 28th in the world among the top European business schools. And we are 37th for MSc Management in International Business in 2022. So we improved from 46 to 37. We are a part of the 1% of schools worldwide having what we call the triple crown, which is AMBA, EQUIS, and ACSB recognition, external recognition. Talking about the MSc Fashion Design and Luxury Management program itself, the objective is to help young graduates who are willing to work in the fashion, design, and luxury industry and equip them with the most competitive and research tools to embrace the challenges of innovation, heritage, and creativity. So this sector is a very fast evolving sector. So we try to really keep our knowledge up to date, following the trends, reading as much as we can, attended to different activities or conferences organized by companies. And the objective is to help you undertake positions in this cosmopolitan, culture-intensive, but hyper-competitive industry. So we will have classes on business and managerial skills. You will be able to gain real-life experience through life business case. So we partner with a company that is coming with a real business issue, and you will be like consultants and working on the case, analyzing the market, analyzing the competition and different requests they have. then you will be able to make recommendations to the company. Through all the different conferences, classes, activities, you will develop a deep understanding of this industry, and you'll be trained to become a future members of those companies. Based on the 2019 graduates surveys we made, 79%, almost 80% of our students found job within 6 months. They have different roles because our FDLM is not focusing just on marketing or just on, I don't know, communication. We cover broad subjects, so from finance, from marketing, from communication, from design, technology and innovation, etc. So students, graduates, will undertake roles in different functions of the company. So it could be sourcing, purchasing, product development, product management, public relations, communications, marketing. There are lots of different possibilities. Here are some names of companies where our students found internship and or jobs. So we work with the main players, so big players, renowned companies such as L'Oréal, Gucci, Guerlain, Givenchy, Céline, Cartier, Yves Saint Laurent, LVMH, Christian Dior. But some of our students can also, and some join smaller brands, startups, or brands that are just new brands, emerging brands. So we have really students working for big corporations or for smaller, sometimes for family businesses, mostly, for example, in Italy. How will the master be organized? So you have 4 semesters, okay, 2 semesters each year. So year 1, you have semester 1 with what we call the core courses in management, so strategic management, project management, research method, accounting, managing global teams, and language. French is compulsory for non-French speakers. You will also have then more specialized courses linked to the fashion and luxury industry. So we have a course called Fundamentals of Fashion and Design Industry, another one, Branding and Brand Equity Management, and another one, The Legal Context of Fashion and Design, with everything that relates to intellectual property, licensing, different contracts, counterfeiting, etc. In semester 2, you will also start with corporate, with business management modules, corporate finance, risk management, sustainability in international business, and always language. And then you have the specialized module, specialized again to fashion and luxury. So you have retail management, global business applied to fashion, design, luxury industry. And on top of that, you have the life business case, and you have what we call the field project, which is linked to the study trip. So we will take you for 1 week in a fashion luxury capital. On top of that, you can perform a work experience and internship for 4 months, 4 to 5 months. In semester 2, we start again with management courses, international negotiations, responsible leadership, advanced research method, language, and then we have many more specialization, strategic management of luxury brands, sustainable luxury and design, industrial design, technology and innovation in those industries, digital marketing in those industries as well. And in semester 2, you have only specialization courses, purchasing, operation, and supply chain management in the fashion and luxury industry, customer management and customer intelligence, integrated communication strategies and PR, plus luxury sectorial analysis, where you choose one specific sector you are particularly interested in, let's say, luxury watches, and you're going to analyze the market at worldwide level. Then by key countries, you're going to identify the key players. You're going to understand the consumer's behavior, the distribution channel, the innovation in this sector, the sustainability trends, etc. And you also have a possibility to perform a work experience, 6 months, up to 6 months, in parallel with writing your final dissertation. So 2 years program. You start in year 1 in October. 75% of the lecturers are coming from GEM. Okay, so meaning either French, Italian, it could be British, could be any nationality, but they are. And 25% will be from Singapore, SIM lecturers. Okay, 1 full year, full-time year on campus, plus the final management project to complete in year 2. And we use very interactive mode of delivery. So in classroom, lectures, discussions, workshops, games, immersion game presentation, but also experiential learning, thanks to company visits, networking sessions, a study trip for 1 week in fashion capital. So you will have the opportunity to go 1 week to a European fashion capital, Paris, where most luxury companies are based, even if they operate at worldwide level. Most headquarters are based in France, or at least lots of companies are based in France. During this study trip, we will organize company visits, meeting with professionals, also going to museums. So you will learn a lot about the industry, and you will work on some projects related to those industries. In parallel to your program, you have personal and professional development workshops, okay, organized by SIM Career Development and SIM Student Learning Center, led by professionals, industry, and subject matter experts. And the idea is to really help you understanding the environment, the profiles that companies are looking for to be career ready upon graduation. So as I said, we organize company visit, guest lectures. You also have networking event with GEM alumni. The GEM alumni community is growing year after year. You have career fairs, you have induction week with lots of activities, and dialogue with GEM management. What are the criteria to join this FDLM program? First, you need to have a bachelor degree with a minimum of 60% GPA. Bachelor degree in any subject. It doesn't have to be related to fashion or luxury or design, okay? You can have a bachelor degree in engineering, in economics, in accounting, in philosophy, in literature, in language, okay? Work experience is not required, but your clear motivation for the fashion and luxury industry is the most important element. Why do you want to join it? So you have to try to provide evidence of your motivation. Do you have a blog? Did you do some project related to fashion or design, either during your bachelor, within your curriculum, or outside? I don't know if you were a volunteer during a fashion week, if you are designing products or clothes on your leisure time, if you work as a sales assistant, as summer job, etc. An interview may be required at the discretion of the final admission board. I would be the one interviewing to also hear your motivation in case they are not clear in your application. And all admissions are based on individual merit and are subject to the final approval of the admission board. oops, sorry. As far as language requirements are concerned, you have to provide evidence of your level of English. So either providing us the results of your test, IELTS 6.5, with minimum of 6 for each band, or the TOEFL, okay, or Cambridge proficiency exam, or a Pearson test of English. So here you have the different requirements depending on the test you take. Now, if you're a native speaker, of course, you don't have to provide that. And if you have obtained your degree in English, we need to have a proof that your degree was delivered in English, and you will not have to take those tests. You can apply via Full Fabric, okay? And we will assess your application on every 2 weeks. We have a new admission board. So if you apply now, you will be assessed during the next admission board. So don't hesitate to apply as soon as you can. So we have time to really check everything. If some elements are missing, we'll ask you, and at least you can secure your place. And also, of course, you can start applying for student visa and all other administrative elements. Okay, so all documents should be uploaded in English in the Full Fabric platform. Okay, so we require you to provide your latest degree and university's transcript with the grading scale, a CV, a resume, 3 short essays, so one on your professional work or academic experience, one for the reasons for choosing Grenoble École de Management and the program. So why are you motivated by fashion and design? What can you bring to the program? What do you already have that could make a good candidate for the program? And one about cultural shock, intercultural awareness. You need to provide us with 2 academic references. Okay, of course, not from family members or friends. A clear scan of your passport, a recent passport size color photo, and the results of your English proficiency documents. Okay, so you need to drop all those elements on the platform, and after that, the admission board will look at your application. The next intake starts in October 2023, and applications are closing on April 1st, 2023. So make sure you apply before this date. If you have any question, you can contact SIM administration. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Isabel. So we're going to take some questions about the program, and Eddie actually started asking questions just now. So his question was, for this program, do they need to be graduates from fashion schools and know about fashion and tailoring?
They do. Do they need to graduate from fashion school? No. I said they can come from any bachelor. So they can have studied economics, math, engineering, language. Okay, they don't need to. And when they graduate, they are not graduating as designers, creative profiles. Okay, we mostly deal with the management aspect of fashion and luxury. Okay, they won't become creative directors of a brand. Okay, they are not learning pattern making, etc. Okay, so it's really managing a brand from the business side.
I see. So do you have any examples, of I would say
students? Okay, so well, I have one of my students. She's of my former student. She's responsible for all the social network for Chanel. So she will be the one looking at the campaign, how they post it, answering maybe if they have questions from clients, etc. So she's one of my students is currently at Dom Pérignon, the Champagne House, also in public relations and communication department. One of my former students is working for Kering eyewear and in business development, so trying to expand the client base. One of my clients is working for a French emerging designer brand called Cézanne. They first were selling almost only online, but they also opened a few physical stores for VIP customers in Paris, in Milan, in London, in New York. So she's also managing the social, the client relationship, what we call, okay, and on Instagram. So every Sunday, because this brand launched a new, they launch new models every Sunday, limited editions every Sunday. So every Sunday she have to post on the social media, okay, this week we have this fantastic blouse, this, so they have to publish content. Then she answers the client, and she's also in charge of taking care of VIP customers. So sometimes they contact her, they say, I want to go to your showroom in Paris, what can you advise me, etc. So she's doing that. I have clients working at Christian Dior Parfum, also in relation with customers. I have a student working at Versace and in charge more of the e-commerce aspects. So there are many, many different possibilities.
I see. Are there any who come from like engineering or totally different industries?
Yes, exactly. So that's a good question. So effectively, I mentioned at some point that data analytics is super important. Okay, it was not the topic of today, so I didn't insist on that, but data analytics, AI, metaverse, NFTs, etc. are becoming really big, and data analytics above all. So people with an engineering background who are very good at understanding, analyzing, maybe sometimes some programming, advanced Excel skills, they are very much sought after. I have a couple of students who are business analysts. For example, one of them is at Christian Dior Couture. So they have to analyze the results of the sales, which one they should boost, which one is more profitable, etc. So of course, when they have good mathematical, analytical skills, and if they have data scientist profile, wow, today they will be the king of the, on the market, because all of the players are looking to hire people as data scientists, data analysts, etc. So yes, if they have very good technical engineering, mathematical skills combined with an excellent knowledge of the industry, it would be a fantastic profile.
I see. Okay. So to the audience, you know, if you're engineers, data analysts.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's important.
Yeah.
And also in supply chain, they recruit lots of engineers. So almost only engineers. So if they have an engineering background, it's good to work. It's good. I mean, it gives you a real competitive advantage to work in supply chain.
I see. That's great. Actually, one of my questions was if I love fashion, and I do, you know, would this help with a career switch, right? And what you have shared really did help address that.
Yes, no, a career switch is possible. It may not be super quick. You may have to go to different steps. Okay, for example, I don't know, you come from an engineering background, maybe you're going to start working, I don't know, in something more related to data analysis, and little by little you're going maybe to go to another position. But it's possible if you have very good quantitative data skill set. Yeah.
I see. So Eddie also asked, you know, if there's someone who doesn't have a degree yet, you know, but has a lot of experience working in sales, had a luxury brand. would that consider as a suitable experience?
If they apply for the program, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. So provided this person has a bachelor, okay, but provided the person has a bachelor, maybe even if the bachelor was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, if the person had a bachelor 4 years ago and now has experience in sales, if he or she speaks English, etc. Of course, I have students, sometimes they are 30 years old or more. Some of them have launched their small business, but they feel they need to learn more about how to manage a company, to make it grow. They need to know how to go online. They need to know more about digital marketing. So sometimes they have their little business or family business in parallel. They study and then they are going to make it grow. So of course, provided they have a bachelor, they have the level of English required, and they are highly motivated and show evidence of their motivation, of course, they can apply.
Okay, so to Eddie, of course, the person will have to take a degree before going into this program. So another question is about fashion degrees. Are there fashion degrees that you would recommend, and can these degrees or taking these degrees earn exemptions for this program?
Okay, so you don't earn any exemptions. We want everyone to follow all the courses, so there are no exemption at all. I would say if you have a fashion bachelor degree, maybe the fundamentals of fashion and design will be something you have already covered, so you can reach the best grades and really have the best grades, and maybe you will not spend too much time on this module, but maybe you need to spend more time on accounting. Okay, so conversely, someone who has a bachelor in accounting doesn't know anything about fashion and may spend more time in understanding fashion fundamentals and branding and brand equity, and will spend not much time in accounting and score the best grade in accounting. So there are no exemptions for no one, no matter what you did before, because we want everyone to be in the same page. If you already have studied some of the topics, good for you. You will have excellent grade in this module, and maybe you can dedicate more time to another one where you have less experience.
All right. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Isabel, for answering all of our many questions about different areas.
No.
So actually, because of time, we are at 8:55. We have 5 more minutes. If there are any last burning questions we have for Isabel. Oh, Eddie says thank you to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think there were some questions. I think someone mentioned, okay, can a company declare itself as sustainable even though it doesn't give decent pay with continual layoff, etc.? As I said at some point, there are 17 UN goals, and companies will never meet the 17 all at the time. So maybe they will start with choosing some they will tackle first. I don't know, it could be lower carbon emissions, it could be stop using chemicals when they dye their clothes, it could be, okay, maybe they first are going to raise the pay. So it depends, of course, on their priority. I personally think that as of today, with what's happening in the social network and everything, if a company doesn't pay the people properly, at some point, some people will raise their voice, will mention that, and they will say, well, look, this company, they are saying that, but they are treating those people like slaves or whatever. And at some point, it will damage the reputation of the brand. So I don't say some are not doing. It's something we talk a lot in fast fashion. You may have heard lots of fast fashion where they have production sites in countries where they really pay people very poorly. But if you look at luxury, for example, LVMH or Hermès. Hermès, most employees of Hermès in production work in France. And for example, in France, Hermès during COVID time, and when stores were closed, Hermès paid the salaries of everyone, even when they were not working. They also gave them an extra bonus of 1,250 euros. Okay, they really took care of their employees without using state help. Okay, so it depends where the production is located, but for example, for Hermès, 80% of the production, 85, is done in France. So people are paid in France according to French labor law. So the problem with poorly paid labor is often in developing countries or something like that. So you have to look where they produce, and I'm quite convinced that if they do not meet the requirements, there will be a scandal. So, and another question was about profit. In my opinion, survival of companies determined by profit, which of course must survive in an uncertain situation. So profit is very important. What is even more important is cash. Okay, and if you are interested in analyzing the financials of those luxury houses, the key players, I can tell you they did very, very well. Even so, since they have fully recovered from COVID, and they have lots of profits. I'm talking about the big players, okay? I'm not talking about small family businesses, but the big players, they make profit, they have lots of cash, which allow them to invest, make longer term investments, etc., and to stay in business, which is not the case for startups, for example.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So we have come to the end of the masterclass. I hope everyone enjoyed the masterclass with Isabel, and thank you so much for spending your evening with us. So if you have further questions regarding the program or even the masterclass or about our luxury industries, please feel free to write to us by email or call us at our hotline. Isabel has also kindly shared her Instagram account and LinkedIn profile, so all of you can connect with her and of course see her day-to-day life, her photos. I checked that out a little bit. Isabel, you're very fashionable. So you can check those out, to find out more about what we do as well. And of course, connect with her on LinkedIn, if you just want to network, find out more about how you may want to transit to the fashion industry. This is a great time to do that. So thank you all, for participating, asking questions, and have a great evening. Thank you so much, Isabel.
Thank you so much to all of you. Thank you, Gia. Thank you to all participants. And yes, please don't hesitate to feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, on Instagram. And if you have further questions, I will be very happy to answer them. Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.